So welcome to the Seasoned Scholar, Season 3. And this Season 3 has seen or witnessed a lot of legends. And I think the one of the person for which we have been following him for first season, finally we find a time. So today our guest is Professor Ashutosh Sharma, which is an institute chair professor and at the Department of Chemical Engineering of Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. He is the founding coordinator of DST Thematic Unit of Excellence on Soft Nanofabrication and chairman of Center for Environmental Science and Engineering at IIT. Now he has been editor for several journals, and as a Secretary of Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, he served one of the, I would say, mother funding agency who drives the science and engineering research in the country. And just now he became president of National Science Academy. And so welcome, sir. I cannot tell you that how much happy I am I'm very grateful that you spare some time to be here.
Yeah, Manish, I'm also very happy that we are finally meeting up. Is my audio okay?
Yes.
We're finally meeting up. I don't have COVID, you don't have COVID, both of us are over COVID, and then also our Wi-Fi are working well. So I'm very, very happy indeed today that we are together and talking on a Sunday afternoon. Yes. Sunday afternoons are very good because they're a little bit less pressure on your time. And so, as you can see, that we are both surrounded by books on all sides. And of course, I wish that we were sitting in a park, but you can imagine that you are sitting in a park under, good shade of big trees. And we are talking, having a friendly talk. Okay. Please go ahead.
Do you like to enlighten us about your upbringing? How was your parental influence on you, or teacher influence? So you can talk until maybe graduation, and then I will take the question forward.
Right. Okay, so my earliest memory is of a small town in Rajasthan. It's called Tok. My father, he was a civil engineer. He was working for the government of Rajasthan in the irrigation department. So, when you join the service, you're assistant engineer, you move around a lot. He was rather, I would say, an honest engineer. So he moved around even more. And so what it means is that by the time I had done 11 years of schooling, in those days, it was not 10 plus 12, but 9 plus 2, 11 years of schooling. By the time I was done with 11 years, I had changed 8 schools. And also formative years from class 2 to class 5, I stayed with my grandparents in Ajmer. Ajmer was a good place for education. Every other town that I was with my father, we moved almost every year. Now, some people might think of this as not being very desirable, is being rather, a nuisance, to be able to adjust to a new place every year, to have new friends, to have new teachers. But I was actually, I greatly benefited by this. I have to say that, what is a benefit? I think benefit is of several different kinds. The first, when I stayed with my grandparents, grandparents are not so worked up about what grades you are getting. If you are getting second division or you're topping the class. I know young parents are always a little bit immature about these things. But grandparents, they don't care that much. What they care about is, look, are you getting love? You getting affection? Are you well, adjusted in life, so to say? And then the fact that you are very young, but you are able to talk, you can relate to very elder people, less young people. Such a big gulf in your age, when you are 10 years old or 8 years old, and you're talking to somebody who may be 70 years old. Right. So this actually gives you a way to negotiate diversity. So frequent changes in school, one year being in English medium, other year being in Hindi medium, one year being in Central Board, other year being in Rajasthan Board, right? And then you have, people in different towns, they behave different and so on. So that actually allows you to negotiate diversity. And you cannot negotiate diversity unless you live there, unless you understand it. Otherwise it would be lip service. I mean, I can say, look, yeah, I respect age. I can talk to people who are younger, people who are older, and so on. But this is all unless you do it. I mean, unless you are thrown into that situation, you would not really understand diversity. So I was very, very lucky. I have to say, I was very privileged to be able to move around, adjust to the new surroundings, and be able to do well. Imagine, making new friends every year. So essentially, what you do with that is that you sample different cross sections of life rather early, and that I think is such a enriching lesson, if you would. I mean, I really wish. I mean, I don't wish people should move 8 times in 11 years, but I do wish that they move at least 3 or 4 times. Right?
I am facing this diversity in my career right now because
Yeah,
I am changing a lot of the institute in my
yeah,
last 10 years or
yeah.
12 years of career. I changed 3 institute.
Yes.
I loved it the
So
way you
Manish,
put.
as you grow older, actually your brain becomes less flexible. So we may be forced to move, but we don't always enjoy that as an opportunity to learn something new. So when you are young, I mean, when you're school age, and in fact, primary school, for example, if you have to move, that's really the time actually to learn uh, the lessons of flexibility, the lessons of respecting a whole lot of different kind of people. And sometimes you have a co-ed school, sometimes you have all boys school. So you know about the diversity in gender, in age, in culture, and it's just and language and so on, and geography. So I think this is a very, very important lesson. I cannot emphasize it enough. At the same time, living with grandparents, they have a different kind of worldview than your parents, right? So you get actually this advantage of learning about how your grandparents view the world, what was their world, how do they look at it now, and of course by the time you come to parents generation, that's different. Then you come to your own generation. So if you are able to sample, I would say, in your life, okay, about 5 generations, right? Then you are through, I would say. Okay, then
Uh,
you are not really embedded in your own generation. Now, oftentimes, I hear a lot about this, generational conflict. You often hear about generational gap. And I have to really say that I'm very amused by it. I sometimes actually laugh out loud. There's no such thing actually. And I certainly did not feel any such thing. Only thing I feel is, look, when I was young, let's say you joined IIT, you are a young faculty member, you criticize the less young faculty members. But now that I'm less young faculty member, I criticize younger faculty members. So you see, the only constant in life is to criticize. But what you criticize is really not really very important. Okay, once you understand that, you accept things because you understand them. All generations are the same. They're all driven by similar motives. They may have different technology, but that's only the skin. What drives you, and what drives your technology, is something deeper. This is because everybody is looking for happiness, no matter which generation you are. Everybody is making use of their education and their tools for reaching that happiness, and in different ways. But that's, like I said, technology is only skin deep. So this understanding that we are all really, in some ways, very similar to each other, that leads to empathy. And I think empathy is such a is such an important aspect. People often talk about intelligent quotient, IQ. Then they talk about, when I grew up
Emotional.
more, they say emotional quotient. But I would say, EQ is of two different kinds, EQ1 and EQ2. So EQ2, to my mind, is empathy quotient. Okay, and you would not be a well-integrated human being unless you went all the way from IQ to EQ1 to EQ2. So these are, some of the
Yeah.
lessons. Plus, I have to let me conclude it by saying, what else? When I was staying with my grandparents, the things I was reading there were very different from the things that I would read in school or with my parents and stuff. To give you an example, I read all the 18 volumes of Mahabharat of
Oh my
Gita
God.
Press Gorakhpur when I was in class 2 or 3. By the time I was in class 5, I had read all of them 3 times over. Now, why is that important? Okay, Mahabharata is not religion. Okay, some people may not know this,
Mhm.
right? Mahabharata actually is about many different situations of life and many different characters. It's about diversity. It's about negotiating diversity. It's not only humans. There are animals. There are these celestial beings. There are these divine beings. There are these demons, everything, right? And so you understand the mind of so many different creatures, so to say. So this is about negotiating diversity. It's also about dharma. Actually, most people don't understand dharma. They think it's some religion. It's not that. Dharma is the fitness of things, and Mahabharata is only about that. So the basic core of Mahabharata is only dharma. So if we understand dharma in action in our life, right, then we have really understood life and we have understood the world. And you can be happy wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, and so on. So I had this advantage of able to read these kind of books very early in my life. And so these are some of the, I would say, early lessons of my life. Then of course, then I was in high school. What is it I wanted to do in high school? So after high school, my first preference was to study philosophy. Okay, I took admission in Rajasthan University for philosophy for doing BA. My second preference would have been mathematics. I was number 3 in the nation in mathematics Olympiad. So I'm much better. I would have made a much better mathematician than most people who are mathematicians today. But anyhow, there's not. Then my third preference would have been physics, and the fourth would have been engineering. Now, okay, of course, I got engineering. I got into IIT, and my neighbors and friends, and everybody said that I should go to IIT because if I did philosophy, I would become a professor. And look what happened. I became a professor. So it doesn't matter actually what you do in life. Okay, one of the lessons, you can do engineering, you can do philosophy, you can do art, you can do history, archaeology, what have you. All right. It doesn't much matter. Okay, I think when you will always have a job. Okay, if you are good at it, whether it's performing art, whether it is anything else, there are a whole lot of very few bright people today who are going outside of medicine, law, engineering, MBA, and so on, right? But other things, they deserve equal respect. I mean, a society which is only made up of marketing and engineers, right? What kind of society would that be? Everybody is trying to sell the other guy something, right? But what we need is a good quality of life. And to have a good society, to have a balanced society, to have a good quality of life, you need performing arts, you need culture, you need archaeology, you need to know history to know your future. All of that. So I'm saying that to have a balanced society, we as parents, as we teachers, we must also emphasize the fact that we can do much better in what we like to do. Now everybody has to do engineering or what have you. So that's another thing that I learned is that sometimes peer pressure. If you are
Mhm.
young, if you are immature, if you cannot handle peer pressure, You cannot, just tell your parents that, this is what you want to do. And of course, you lead your life, I would lead mine. Okay. Right. That's happening more and more. I'm very glad. I was 16, 15, and 15-year-old kid at that time. So I just didn't have that wisdom to say, look, forget about engineering, it is nothing for me. I would rather do history or philosophy. Okay. So, there are opportunities in life. But anyway, second aspect is no matter what you do in life, you cannot be unhappy. Okay. So example is, okay, you want to do philosophy, but you only get to do engineering. What are you going to do? Are you going to be unhappy? Are you going to say, look, or it could be vice versa. I wanted to do engineering, but I only could get philosophy. What would you do?
Yeah, we will probably.
No, so I've
unsatisfied.
never been unhappy, and I've never thought that I should revisit my life and make a different decision or make a different option and so on. You see, because life is actually perfect, no matter what it is, because there is no other life. So you cannot go back and compare. You cannot say, look, if I had taken a different road, okay, what would have happened? Maybe it may have been much worse, maybe much better. Doesn't matter, because that's all speculation. A life, there is only one world, and so therefore it is perfect. It could not be any other way, right? And so I'm never unhappy about what I did, what my life was, what it would be like tomorrow, and so on. That's never a question to me at all.
So,
Yeah, so I think, and then just feeling unhappy about other people, about circumstances, about so on and so forth. That kind of negativity I've never had. Some of it is based on understanding that, look, you are who you are. Other people may say, look, you got this weakness. Others may say, you got this strength. Doesn't really matter. You don't look at it like weakness or strength. It is all life. It's one life. And whatever, like I repeat again, whatever it is perfect.